How do you balance your relationship with your partner and your career? Who wrote this? This is a tough one. I think for most of us, when you think about the intersection of work and life, for me, thankfully, and I've been very selective and slow to get into a serious relationship for this reason. But I have a partner who's very supportive and understanding, and we're very clear about what my aspirations are. And so um, I have someone who is willing to yield when needed. But I will say that, and I see this in a lot of the high performers that I work with, is that anyone who's striving for some higher level of success or achievement in career, you're typically going to have this challenge of how do you balance your relationship with those you love and your career. And I would say there's not really a magical answer to this, but I will say that there are times where there's certainly going to be a strain on the relationship, or at least at minimum a requirement for there to be maybe less connection or less engagement than either of you may want. But there's also times where you have to really ask yourself, especially if you're the one who is the aspiring person who's pursuing career realities, what's a realistic expectation here, and am I getting to the point where I am taking my partner for granted? And that's definitely something that I check in on a regular basis, especially with my partner, because he's not the type who's going to say, even though I always tell him all the time, please tell me, if I'm rolling in a way that has become too much. But he's just not the type to say much. So I regularly check in with him, and I really do try to read and sense. But I can just say, as a driven person, that most, if not all, driven people become insatiable. Like there is a question of what's enough, what's fast enough. And the honest answer for many of us is there isn't enough, and it isn't fast enough. It never is. So that's something you really have to work on growing, growing through, because one of the things that is a reality that isn't spoken of much is that high performing folks also tend to have both um, difficult realities in their other spheres, and also tend to have some serious health issues after a while. And the stats are there, the research is there, but it's one of those topics that doesn't get covered a lot. I think it's a truth that the world really doesn't want to lean into. But it is a thing. If you think about the stress of being a leader, the stress of being an entrepreneur or business owner, of course, we know stress has an effect on the body. So um, same way it can have an effect on your relationship. So how do you balance? It's, as I always say, we always say in Joy Society, it's really about harmony rather than balance. And so you just have to kind of sense where you are, and if you're maybe going too far. I know for sure, when I know I'm going into a really tight time where I'm going to have to really go hard, I definitely let my partner know in advance, and we kind of talk about it, try to prepare for it. And I keep that line of communication going as I'm going through that season, um, to try to remind him, right, that we knew that this was going to be this way, right, and we're pushing through, and here's the final date. But you definitely got to make sure you watch it, because I don't know much or anything really about Tom Brady's relationship. We know that he's in the process of divorce, but I'm quite sure that his commitment to his career played a factor in his divorce. So, and sometimes it just ain't gonna work out. So hopefully not, but you make those choices. You got to really ask yourself what matters most. And if you're in a really, really good relationship with which unfortunately many folks are in settling relationships. If you're in a great relationship, then it's something you don't want to lose. If you're in a settling relationship, then I think you also have to be careful, because there's a lot of people who put their career dreams on the back burner for their partner. And it's something you are likely to regret later.